to Tech Talk, a 1-hour television program where we showcase technologies that are bolstering Belize's position nationally, regionally, and internationally. Tech Talk features everything from super high-speed internet to high-speed cloud computing, smart homes, and dynamic point-of-sale systems. Without a doubt, technology is one of the primary catalysts to drive countries and economies forward. Belize has been taking advantage, and so here we are for Tech Talk. I'm your host, Kimana Barrow. Tonight's Biz Tech is more like a school tech, since we have with us Belize High School. In terms of technology, they've been one of the more aggressive secondary schools in Belize, and even feature their own robotics program. I welcome Belize High School Head of IT Department, Mr. Godfrey Sosa. Welcome, Mr. Sosa.
Hi, thank you.
Before we begin, can you tell us a bit about Belize High School? I mean, is it like a big sister for Belize Elementary?
Well, if we want to consider it in terms of that aspect, then yes, it is a private secondary high school that came into existence in August of 2010. It was kind of like an initiative between some parents who thought about offering something different in terms looking at the present educational system and thought maybe we could do something different. So it was a collective effort of some of our parents back then in 2010 who actually started or laid the groundwork for the school to actually come into existence.
Okay.
So since then we have strived in kind of being radical in the educational system in terms of offering different alternatives to our students now. So.
Okay, and what type of alternatives?
So if we're looking at different alternatives, for one of the biggest thing with our schools is that we pretty much a foundation of it is technology. So we have embraced technology within the classroom. We have found ways of having it coexist in the classroom along with the traditional chalk and talk methods and different things, because one of the things that we need to look at is that as technology is progressing, so are our type of students. So we need to find more ways of reaching them, to having them more engaged within the classroom now. So.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. So you mentioned that Belize High School is the only school in Belize that really does alternative things like offering IT as a major.
Yes.
How does that work out for you guys?
Well, because the school was so the foundation of the school was so heavy on technology. Mm-hmm. When we started off, we did a lot of stuff differently. For example, for me, when I started with the school was back in 2010. I had this radical idea of promoting programming and doing a higher level of information technology. So I had being hired with them, I had that ability to be more flexible in shaping the curriculum to where it is now. No? But having the only IT major, because the regular IT classes were such a big success, and the kids kind of like gravitated towards IT, we saw more and more of our kids going into IT as a career. So we say, maybe it's time that we revisit and kind of like lay down that framework where we could actually have this as a major and give them a stepping, one foot in to that whole career path.
So the IT major wasn't at the inception of the school? Okay.
No. This IT major program was introduced, I believe, 4 years ago.
Okay.
So since then, we've graduated kids from the IT program. We started off with 6. We have increased to 9.
Oh, really?
Right now, our present intake is at 17.
Wow.
All kids hoping to study information technology.
Sounds very good.
Now, the core aspects that we look at in terms of the major are networking, database, and programming. So by the time they're finished graduating from our school, they would have had a good foundation in that career path. No? So on any given, after a 4-year period, we could say by the time they graduate, these kids are equipped with 6 programming languages. We're talking from C++, Java, Visual Basic, Android development, etc. No? So we try to push that bar with them, because one of the things about is that we need to understand that capturing these kids at this early age can have them do so much more.
Moldable.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. So in terms of the classes, is it that you said that technology is integrated into the classroom?
Yes.
Is it a matter of, do kids still have to take notes, or is it recorded to where they can play back, or what are we talking about? What level of integration?
They still take notes. They still write in class. That's a big misconception out there that at Belize High School.
Sure.
Yeah, we all use laptops and nothing else.
Right.
But yeah, the kids they do write. They do have to take notes. But we try to find a way of how the technology could complement the learning. So we have situations we have smart boards in the classroom. We have the traditional projectors and so on, but we're working on setting up a fully multimedia room, things like that kind of like keeps kids engaged. We have web portals that keeps parents and teachers and students in sync with each other. We have automated cafeteria systems where kids are given meal cards. They go to the office, they charge up. So we kind of like have a lot of technology involved within the classroom. Because one of the things we need to understand is that getting them involved in all of these different things, when they leave from here, and hopefully they do to go and study and so on, out there is a different world. So if they're not embraced with technology from now, when they reach out there, it'll be a little bit difficult.
Yeah, the exposure is definitely important.
Yes.
So in terms of, you guys putting this program together for the exposure, were parents immediately receptive? I mean, because people in Belize are traditionally when they pick to be lawyer, doctor, accountant.
So one of the things that we try to tell them is that maybe maybe we need to shift our mentality from, okay, I want you to be a doctor, a lawyer, or this or that, because there are other alternatives out there, especially with the advent of technology and all of these things. For example, we have a student that had graduated. We didn't have the IT major program, but they gravitated to technology, but they wanted to study a career of blood splatter analyst. No, I didn't even know that was a career until when they were explaining that. Yes, sir. There's so much involved.
You don't watch enough TV.
Yeah, so it's those alternatives that we want, because building a nation has to start from somewhere.
Right, and the only people that build nations are engineers.
Exactly. So parents, when we say, okay, we want to do this, parents were like, okay, let's do it. We didn't have a big amount in the beginning, but we had 6 that took on what we call them catalysts or pioneers of the program, and all 6 graduated.
That's impressive.
The feedback from them is that they are not doing their undergraduate studies, but for them it's like. And
you still keep in contact with them?
Yes, sir. It's like, sir, you know what all you did? It's like, man, it's so easy now, and this and that. And that's what we want.
So a good head start they got.
Exactly, for our kids. It's not to say that we're from Belize, we can't produce, top
Okay,
notch.
so can you tell us a little bit about your robotics program that you're holding this summer?
Okay, so this whole robotics initiative, we at the high school, we have been doing robotics for the past 6 years. We had introduced it as an extracurricular, and we found out a lot of kids that had gravitated towards it, so we decided to continue pushing it. The program is spearheaded by myself and Miss Marcella Young at Belize High School. So our high schoolers have intro to programming, all of these different things, all of these nice programming languages, and we got an opportunity last year to kind of like work along with another school with a robotics initiative to represent Belize internationally.
Okay.
That last competition was held in Mexico.
Okay.
So there's another competition this year that's going to be held in Dubai. So
Dubai.
Yeah, so Dubai.
Wow.
So, but that's for high schoolers. So our high schoolers have that there for them. But we sat and we thought, maybe we could try and do something for the elementary level, because if we capture at a lower age, then the interest, the energy, all of that is there already. So it's just a matter of fostering that. So we say, okay, let's see how we could plan this out. So we got in contact with First Lego League. We got
that's the global group?
Yeah, that's a global group under the umbrella of First.
Okay.
The First Lego League is more for the elementary level. So we say, okay, well, there's an opportunity here for us to do something. So we reached out, we partnered, we reached out to many sponsors out there to see how we could get the groundwork for this up and going. No? So we managed to pull off what all we needed to do. So we had reached out to 6 primary schools in Belize, in the district of Belize,
Okay.
primarily Belize City, to have them become a part of this pilot project. So the 6 primary schools that we had reached out to, they immediately were on board. So one of the things here we try to do is try to get the kids as excited as possible about robotics. Now, it's a new venture, it's a new field, but and what we try to do here is that simple things like this helps develop that analytical skills. It helps develop that teamwork, team building. It helps them understand, okay, there are challenges that you will face. You may program the robot and it may not work. You may get upset, but it teaches you to go back at the drawing board. Okay, how can I figure this out? So the whole thing about this here is try to get at least at the elementary level kids excited about robotics.
That's excellent. That's excellent. Viewers, let's listen to some of the participants from BHS's piloting of the first Lego League, a global robotics competition.
Today we're doing a pilot testing on First Lego League. Our school has volunteered to help first to show the whole world what robotics can do, and we have asked 4 schools to come and help us pilot. It's like a simulation we're doing. So right now what they're doing is the missions is called Into Orbit, and they're programming right now. Since I was in Standard 5, it has been running. I have been to Mexico last year to represent the country in the first ever official First Global Challenge. It was an amazing experience to be in an international competition. Kind of felt like the Olympics. The only difference is that we were dealing with robots and we were partnered up with 2 countries. And each country had to work with each other to complete one goal, which was to find a clean source of power. I look at robotics as being my career in the future, and I plan to go and study either in Virginia or Florida. And I plan to do robotics while being in the Navy. And then when I retire, I'd come back to my country to teach the younger ones here.
Is this your first time here at the robotics program at BHS?
Yes, we are learning about programming and how to build.
I saw earlier you guys had a robot piece. What exactly was that? Can you explain that to me?
It's a Lego Mindstorm. You program it to move it around. You can make it do certain tasks.
How will this experience today help you at school?
Well, it will help me with math and math only because it's mostly about math. Programming it will also help me with in school. But that always help me with.
We now have joining us Mr. Kent Hulse and Mr. Kent Haylock, who we just saw in that video. Welcome to the show, guys. So, what sparked your interest in robotics? You go first.
Well, what sparked me was when I got a toy. I took it apart and I found out so many things about what's in a toy. And that sparked it.
That's interesting. And yourself?
What sparked my interest in robotics was a summer camp that the high school had held. And at this time I was in Standard 5, and when I participated in it, that's when I loved robotics.
Interesting. So, do you guys believe that robotics has taught you to think differently about the world? You think it helps you to solve problems?
Yes, it does. Makes me better in maths. Well, not better, but a little more better at maths.
For me, robotics helps in real-world problems because just like the competition we had in Mexico, we had to find ways to have better energy like solar panels. And I would see robotics helping the world in that way.
What did you guys do in Mexico? What was your project?
In Mexico, we had to build a robot that could do many tasks. One example was picking up solar panels and delivering it. We specialized in that. We specified in that area.
Okay.
And at the competition, we delivered in that area.
Excellent. And sir, what did you do in your summer camp? What was the project that you picked?
Well, we didn't get to pick one as yet, but one we were doing was we had to finish a spaceship. We had to program our robot to go and insert a piece into the spaceship.
Really?
But yeah, that's what we're doing.
And what goes into doing something like that?
A lot, well, not a lot, but a few coding. Not a lot of coding to do it, but
And you enjoy coding?
yes.
Okay. And so, in terms of the project in Mexico, what were some of the things that you enjoyed most about that? Not, your project is there, but the things that you got to see that other people competed with you.
What I enjoyed in Mexico was the experience. A saying that my family has taught me is your education is only as broad as your experience. And when I went there, it opened up a whole area that I could find a career in.
So it broadened your horizons for you.
Yes, sir.
And I think that's what you were talking about,
Yeah.
the fact that it can broaden
Because
the horizons.
one of the things before we even started off these initiatives with the robotics and these international competitions is that at the inception we had always looked at taking on international trips. So we've done trips for the debate clubs. We've been to MOAS. We've been to other international places. We've visited Singapore, Taiwan. So getting all of these exposure, getting our kids exposed to all of these things, when we decide to take on initiatives such as these, it's not a challenge much for them because we've already been exposed on how to carry ourselves, internationally.
And so, in terms of this summer camp, right, is it something that you'd want to do again?
Yes, because it was fun. I did a lot of programming. Well, not a lot as yet, but we did building, programming. They just introduced us to the robots. Well, not introduced us. At the second week we went, they told us about the robots and they showed us. At the third week, they made us program a code about the robot putting in the piece into the spaceship.
And what coding language is that? Do you know?
I don't know the coding language.
Do you use?
The coding language uses Scratch,
Oh, Scratch.
and that's what we use to teach the kids the programming language. If you want, I could show the viewers how it looks.
Let's do a quick thing.
Just turn it on.
As you could see here, this is the starting button, and then this is the move tank, which would make the robot goes forward. Over here, this would be move steering, which I could use to turn the robot left or right.
So all of the movements are pre-programmed before. And how do you deliver it to the robot?
We deliver it through a cable that we plug into the laptop and the robot, and we download it from there.
Is there something you could hit to let us see something?
Yes.
The blocks are predefined, but the specifics as to what each will do, they have to code that in.
Ready?
Go ahead. Interesting. So when you go back this year, you think you're going to be able to do something like that?
Yeah.
Definitely, right?
Yeah.
I believe you. You seem to have that kind of confidence. So having been into robots for summer, what do you think you want to do when you grow up? Has it changed your mind at all?
Well, a little bit. I was thinking first I would be a vet for dogs, cats, other animals. But I was thinking now about doing programming and other sorts of thing.
That's good. Sounds good. I think you should continue thinking that way. How about yourself?
I plan to further my studies in mechatronics, which is a field that brings electrical and mechanical engineering into one. And I plan to either go study at Florida Polytechnic or Old Dominion University in Virginia.
And what do you do with something like that? Electronics. That sounds like, something out of a movie.
In the future, when I get older, I plan to be a robotics engineer. And I plan to build robots that are like humans, but not physically humans.
Okay. Some iRobot type stuff.
Yes, sir.
Interesting. So how do you, Mr. Sosa, how do you believe that, BHS can help other schools in the country?
Well,
in terms of launching innovative programs like the one you have?
Well, I mean, we're always open to helping, no? So in any school that thinks that, okay, maybe they have the groundwork, or maybe they would want to get something on board like this or become a part of the initiative. I mean, even other elementary schools we're hoping would find this, something worthwhile for their schools. So, but in terms of reaching out to other schools, we're always open and willing, no?
So have any of the schools that participated in last year's program come and reached out to you guys to say maybe, trying to start?
Well, this is the first.
Okay.
This robotics camp is the first
Okay.
with these elementary schools. Last year, the schools that we had partnered with was a secondary school.
Oh, those were secondary schools.
And that was for the bigger competition.
And
So-
any of them spawn any programs of their own?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's being done out in Kikaka.
In Kikaka?
Yeah, in Kikaka.
Okay. So,
They have a robotics club that's starting to get some life out there. So
okay.
we're hoping to continue pushing the initiative now, and we're hoping that other schools would see this as something beneficial.
So do you guys have any other demos that you can give the audience, or?
I think there's one more. I could make a program right now to show
Let's see
to
how
the
quick we
audience.
can do that.
Okay. I would need the
Excuse?
cable.
I want the cable.
Yes.
Cable.
But in the meantime, so Mr. Sosa,
Yes.
while he's doing that, I have another question for you. Have you guys gotten the kind of support in terms of, you said that you reached out to members of the business community?
Yes,
that kind of
because this initiative, and I must say, and I must kind of like pound this in, that this initiative is fully privately funded
Right.
by our school. So we had to go out there, see as much sponsors as we could get.
Right, I know that this,
Yeah, because
the
these-
Mind Stone
these-
is expensive,
Yeah.
each one. And
So it's saddening that we couldn't reach more. We're hoping that with the proper advertisement and the proper, getting the proper outreach out there, that people would kind of jump on board so that we could reach more schools. No, now the plan is that this is just a pilot project.
Mhm.
The plan is that next year we're looking to host the first ever national competition in partnership with our counterpart in Guatemala, who's Sebal.
Okay.
So that will be an internationally recognized competition that's going to be held
Excellent.
right here in Belize amongst these 6 primary schools. We're hoping that because they have certain requirements that we need to reach 10, we need to have 10 teams. So we still have our work cut out for us in reaching the 10 so that we could qualify to have a national competition that's recognized internationally.
And each team has to be from a school, or
Yes.
they could be a combination of students?
They could be a combination of students.
Yeah,
that shouldn't be
that
an
shouldn't
issue.
be an
no?
issue then for you
But the biggest thing is the funding.
Right.
So the more we could get people on board with an initiative like this, it could do great wonders in the country.
Right.
And we're being ambitious in thinking that a couple of years, if we continue pushing at this, and one of the things with Belize High School, is that when we take on an initiative, it's for the long haul.
Right.
So we're hoping that, being ambitious, we could reach countrywide in having district competitions and then leading up to a national competition, and then that winner then represents Belize, no? So
Yeah, that's definitely something to build towards. So, Ken, do you understand what he's doing?
Yes, yes I do.
Could you explain it to me? Because I have no idea.
Well, what he's doing right now, he set it to degrees.
Okay.
So you have the move tank. It will have two motor, this motor and this motor.
Okay.
This will have the motor. It have different speed. You can make it kind of golly halfway. If you maybe set this one to, let's say, 49 and this one to a 50. It might go in slightly.
Oh, slight turn.
Yeah, slight turn. You can use that for kind of turning, or just make it go straight with the 50 and 50. It goes straight.
Okay. Interesting.
You ready?
Yes, please. Oh, I see what you're saying with the one wheel turns and the other one. Okay. And so for the competition, you would have to have a craft like this traverse what, like a map or something you're referring to?
Yes.
for this year's competition, the theme around it is called City Shapers. For this pilot project, we're using last year's competition because it's a first initiative. We try to reach out to the companies to try to get, some material that we could start with. But for this one, the whole theme of it is City Shapers.
City Shapers.
City Shapers. So
Okay.
the whole objective of it will be building portions of a city with the robot.
Okay. That'd be very interesting to see. And so, Mr. Sosa, we've seen some terrifying movies, Ex Machina and The Terminator. Do you really think those things are possible?
Well, I'm always open-minded. No? Honestly, yes, I do. And
Okay.
one of the things that I am fascinated with is actually having technology being integrated with biological, well, not biological, but living tissue.
Okay.
That's one of the areas that I'm pretty much interested in.
Okay.
In seeing how those could coexist together, like implanting a chip in your brain.
You have to go to Sweden. I saw a story about people
Yeah.
doing that stuff in
Yeah,
Sweden.
so.
And on another note, let's take a commercial break. But when we return, we'll have more biz talk.
Tech Talk is brought to you by the Public Utilities Commission.
Take a journey with us to endless possibilities. Our future as a country is now. DigiNet Boost is countrywide. Taking Belize into the future, a nationwide technological evolution. As the most advanced fiber connection, DigiNet Boost is a step forward into a modern world. Belize is powered by DigiNet. DigiNet Boost, now available countrywide.
Welcome to RFNG Insurance's educational series. Our aim is for you to understand insurance and how it works. Today, we will be discussing what you should do in the event of an accident. No matter how careful a driver you are, traffic accidents happen. Whether it's a minor fender bender or a major collision, most of us will deal with a traffic accident at some point in our lives. Here are a few things that you should do in the event an accident occurs. 1. Immediately call an ambulance if anyone is hurt. 2. Report the motor vehicle accident to the police. 3. Take photos at the scene of the accident and of the vehicles involved. 4. Note the other driver's name, driver's license number, telephone number, as well as insurance information. 5. Contact your insurer as soon as possible to report the accident. 6. Be sure not to accept liability or any monetary settlements at the scene of the accident. If you need more information about the claims process, contact our claims department at 223-5734. Thanks for joining us, and catch us for our next installment where we will be discussing motor insurance and its importance.
Belize's economy has performed phenomenally well in the first quarter of 2019, posting a 5.2% growth in GDP, largely due to the government of Belize's commitment to the agriculture and fishery industries. Tourism also continues to see steady increases. Inflation is non-existent over the past year, and the labor force recorded its lowest rate of unemployment in the history of Belize. Working hand in hand with Belizeans, the government of Belize moving Belize forward.
This is what we do.
It's more or less 10 grams or less.
It's that special time again. Breaks o'clock.
We are changing the name of this year to wet t-shirt competition.
Eating too much salt can also increase your blood pressure, and nobody needs that.
Welcome back to Tech Talk, 1-hour television program where we showcase Belize's cache of technologies, discuss the progress, the challenges, and the unlimited opportunities for Belize in technology. I'm your host, Kimana Barra. I'm joined by Belize High School's Godfrey Sosa, and we're now joined by Ms. Marcelli Young. Before we continue with more biz tech, let's take a quick look at another installment of Street Tech.
Which company develops the Mac operating system? A, Microsoft, B, Apple, C, Dell, or D, Samsung?
It's B, Apple.
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 Let me Google it quickly. No, I think it's Apple.
Apple.
Supposed to be Apple.
If your laptop freezes, which of the following methods is recommended to unfreeze it? A, taking out the battery, B, pressing enter 10 times, or C, pressing Control-Alt-Delete?
C, pressing Control-Alt-Delete.
Control-Alt-Delete.
Take out the battery.
Sounds more like A. C, pressing Control-Alt-Delete.
Control-Alt-Delete.
Which of the following is needed to connect your phone to Wi-Fi? A, a fax machine, B, a modem, C, a router, or D, a USB cable?
Supposed to be a modem.
C, a router.
Modem.
A router. A router.
What router?
I think it's apparent that the younger generation is truly digitally literate. Since most of all those answers are correct, Mac, of course, is developed by Apple, with iOS being the phone version. If your laptop does freeze, which, some people's laptops freeze a lot because of the things they do on it, you should hit Control-Delete before you do try to think about taking out a battery. Battery is a last resort. And to connect your phone to Wi-Fi, you need a router, but it's kind of a trick question. A modem connects your phone or computer to the internet through a wired connection, but a router is what creates the wireless connectivity. Technically, because the router has the access point embedded on it, and that's what really creates the Wi-Fi. You can check out more of Street Tech next week. And viewers, the world of technology and education intersect in what is called STEM. STEM is very prominent. It refers to school curriculums that promote a balance of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. While this is more mainstream in developed countries, right here in Belize, the conversation is being had. And Belize High School has been getting the ball rolling. Let's take a look at this video clip where Ms. Young discusses how their summer robotics program ties into the STEM approach of education.
Right now we're working on our first Lego League summer pilot, and basically what it is bringing children between ages 9 and 12 from different primary schools into one setting and teaching them programming under the STEM project of Lego. And so we are building, which is the engineering aspect, where they're taking the Lego pieces and actually building a space station. And then they're going to use their engineering skills as well to connect pieces to the robot to do missions. The mathematical aspect, of course, is the calculations needed for them to determine how the robot will move in terms of the coding. The technology aspect, well, all of it is technology. And the science is because this particular project is space exploration. It's called Into Orbit, and it is the 2018-2019 first Lego League Challenge. We are preparing students for a national competition that our school will be hosting in January of 2020. And so this summer pilot is really to find out at the level, are our children ready for something like this? And after 2 Saturdays, I can safely say they're ready. We are excited as to how quickly they're building, how quickly they're understanding, and we're offering very limited verbal instructions. It is a technique for exploring that we do in primary school teaching, where they're actually going to learn by just watching pictures and using a computer or a tablet, just scrolling up and finding out problem solving on their own. So this project is for 4 Saturdays, and it's a matter of 5 different schools participating, 5 different primary schools participating, coming into our gym, our auditorium, sitting, mingling with children from other schools, really finding creativity, innovation, and just exploring math. We see that the children are really embracing it. When we went to primary school, open day projects, we saw that children want to be lawyers and doctors and teachers and nurses, and that's wonderful. But we saw that something was missing. Where are the big dreams of being an astronaut, of being a physicist? That's not being fostered. So bringing something in like robotics opens up their mind. We here during the camp are showing them different videos from actual astronauts who embrace this project and are giving them welcoming videos and welcoming tips as to how they can complete their projects. We feel here at Belize High School that if the children are really open to creativity and really open to the concept of building, incorporating programming and the engineering aspect of it, it just takes creativity on the teacher's part because they're open to it and they're excited about it. You've seen that for yourself.
You can really see the sparks in their eyes, you know? So, again, for our viewers at home, what exactly is STEM?
Okay, so when you talk about STEM, it's separated into 2 sections. You have STEM education and STEM workforce. We, in the education system, focus on STEM education. And it's really just an interdisciplinary approach to learning. It's actually taking the science, the technology, the engineering, and the mathematics, but those are the broad top layers. When you take away the top layer and you get down to the bottom of it, it's cross-curricular in every subject. And how do you find the approach? Interdisciplinary. So STEM is something that BHS promotes in every possible way. All our subjects, we have intercurricular activities, we have intercurricular curriculum on a whole. Whenever you're thinking of STEM as a teacher in the education system, you're actually thinking of curriculum. But in the workforce, you're thinking of how do you get the skills in your employees to meet the jobs that are needed right now.
And so how effective has it been for you guys in terms of what you've produced, you know?
I think very effective. Our students master problem solving at a very young age. In IT, we push problem solving where they're solving high degree mathematical problems using real world scenario, and that's where the STEM comes in. You don't want the traditional approach of giving a math problem, giving just a basic problem for them to solve. You want it right. No, you want to give them a realistic scenario that would happen in the workforce. We recently hosted our internal hackathon. That's where students are given general broad topics and they have to problem solve and come up with innovative solutions for it. So we find that this year in our internal hackathon, our juniors, which is our third farmers, were able to participate successfully. There was absolutely no problem with them coming up with real world solutions. So
what kind of problems did they solve?
One of the things that they were looking at for sure was water problems. We put the basic topic, clean water. There are 15 challenges that are globally. And we try to focus on those 15 challenges. Water and clean water being the second largest global problem, which is why the first global competition we found out just recently, the theme is water. Okay. And we have our Raspberry Pi competition coming up. We found out the theme is clean water, because that's the second biggest problem in the world. And so one of the solutions our students came up with was focusing on sargassum that's affecting our water. You know, and what can we do to solve that? Is it a matter of just taking a boat out there and hauling all the sargassum? That's not realistic. You know, then you start getting into the different types of fuel and energy you can create from it. So students are actually looking at these problems and thinking bigger solution than just the band-aid of pulling it out of the way, cleaning the seashores. That's great, and that has its place. But then we have to think of the bigger solution as well.
Excellent. So as an IT professional, would you say that our education system in Belize is influenced enough by technology?
That's a trick question.
Of course it is.
Is it influenced enough? Nothing can ever be influenced enough by technology. But I can say that it's open and embracing technology, and I believe that our education system is changing as we are progressing, and as catalysts like Belize High School is showing and leading the way as to how you can implement it into the system. Education, I find, and I always tell my students this, education is expensive, knowledge is free. So if you want to learn something, it's available out there for you to learn. How you embrace it, it's determined on your attitude. So I do think that our education system is coming along in embracing, but I know that our students, who are a big part of our education system, are way ahead of us.
Well, Ken and Kent are very impressive young men, so I can agree with you in that. So is it an uphill battle to really merge technology in the classroom? I mean, in terms of getting school administration, you talked about a lunch program, and you talked about attendance. How difficult has that been? And is this something that you guys are doing? Are the kids involved in that
in terms of looking at Belize High School, I mean, one of the things that I must say, I mean, out here is that we have an amazing board that's always open to these, you know, radical ideas in terms of bringing this into the classroom. I mean, and also we have support of our president and of our two principals head on. So whenever me and Ms. Young or another department would decide, okay, let's take on this approach, let's take this on. I mean, it's never a thing where we say, okay, no, we can't do this. It's like, okay, how do we get this done? Okay. It's like the robotics. My principal was like, okay, how could we do this? So, you know, we always take it on head on. Also.
And in terms of those systems, are the kids involved in the deployment of, like, you know, the attendance?
Yes.
Oh, for sure.
How are they involved?
Okay, so when we, let me just talk a little bit first about how wonderful a principal we have. And I'm not exaggerating in any way. Mrs. Jamie Usher is hands-on every possible way you can think about it. And when we came up with the idea of let's doing a hackathon, because we've always participated in external hackathons at tertiary level.
And we've won.
And we have won. And we have,
high school.
Yes, and we competed against tertiary level and businesses. And we did very well. But when we thought about in our department, let's do a hackathon internally, our principal was like, yes, go right ahead, do it. So when we went to Mexico City for the first global challenge that was happening in Mexico, our principal immediately networked herself, got us out there, found out information, and has then partnered up with First Lego League through the initiative. And that's how this came about. That's how this Into Orbit came about. And we're super excited about it. Yeah, what you're seeing right now, that's us in Mexico. And there's Kent and there's our team. And we had a wonderful experience while we were there. The experience that those students who were there had is unmeasurable, you know. But in terms of how involved our students are, okay, so Mr. Sosa gives a task every year to our students, our senior programming students, to create our voting program. We have student council elections and it's done electronically. Our students create the program.
Okay.
We don't involve ourselves in it other than to guide them.
Our website is created in-house, our voting program, our BHS Express program, that's on-site, kind of like a store where you could buy your paper, pen. All of that is created internally. Our IT program, I must say, is like no other, because we complement theory with practical. So we have kids running cable, knowing the concepts involved, crimping, what type of cable to use. We have kids on ladders, we have kids setting up our camera systems, being able for remote viewing. You know, getting as much exposure into the field.
Okay. You mentioned the Raspberry Pi. What are you guys doing with the Raspberry Pi?
Well, that's top secret right now. It's national competition, but I can tell you that we are merging everything we know to move forward. I'll give you that hint. But I will say that Raspberry Pi is a wonderful program, a wonderful computer for young students to learn programming. Now, earlier, the students were explaining that right here, it's block-style programming. That's appropriate for primary school. That's appropriate for elementary school.
I believe you said you used Scratch.
Yeah, it's similar to Scratch. It's similar. It's block-style programming. Now, as our students get higher up in high school, they will understand that the solid core programming behind this is based on Python, a programming language called Python. So what the young minds are seeing are blocks, which is appropriate for their age to understand the logic behind it. But as they get older, they learn the solid core programming. And for this particular, for Mindstorm, is Python. But when we do Raspberry Pi, Python is also there. So it's interrelated, as you can see. Robotics on a whole uses a lot of block-style programming to make it user-friendly. However, you can always do the hardcore programming in the background, and that's what we encourage our students to do, so that they can then go in and manipulate it however they want it to be manipulated, not relying on the predefined that's there. So when we went to Mexico, for example, the program is block-style programming, but you could have done it through Java as well. So it gives you alternative ways to code, and depending on what result you want to get out of it.
Okay. So Belize is a developing country, right? And we look at developing countries, and some of the models are Singapore, Japan. I think you guys said you went to Singapore. So they've relied heavily on technology. In what areas can you see Belize utilizing technology to give our development a significant boost?
In what ways we're currently using it, or which ways we can use it? Which ways we can use it?
That we aren't.
Oh, wow. There's so many different ways I can think of right off hand.
Name three.
Like at our airports, you were saying in Dubai, when they go, there's a robot that scans you when you're coming in. Something as simple as when we are passing out of our scanners, many times they're not working. We can just improve on that for sure. The bus system, one of our students pioneered in the app development, and we have 3 students right now who are working on actually creating an app for the bus system in Belize, so that you're not out there standing and waiting for hours. We were working with Kent Haylock, our high schooler, and we were talking about the sarcasm as an issue, and he came up with a great solution. I'm patenting that idea for him. If he can develop it, it's a wonderful solution that tackles the problem not at the beachfront, but actually where the stream is coming in. There's so many ways we can improve technologically, but the best way we can help our students right now is by teaching them at a very young age. Problem solving is the key in technology. Problem solving helps a student to think analytically, critically, in every possible way. When you tell a student to look at a scenario and tell me what the problem is. You can put 3 people in front of you, give them the same scenario, ask them what is the problem. You'll get 3 different solutions. You'll get 3 different answers, sorry. Are they wrong? Is one more right than the other? No. What we try to teach students in programming is that there's no wrong answer. There's just a more efficient one and a more logical one. And we always say, you know, we say about common sense, don't you have common sense? In programming, there is no such thing as common sense. We understand that it's just how well you can logic. So problem solving is something that needs to be trickled down from the very young age. First Lego League allows us to use what some would consider toys. But it's actually taking it as an educational tool and teaching students problem solving, engineering and building, because they get literal parts. Process management, team building, everything you can think of right there. And fun, because that's the most important part for kids. Because if you don't capture them with the fun, you've lost them all along.
So, Mr. Sosa, do you have any other words you'd like to give us before we wrap up for this segment?
I mean, we have gotten this out there. We're hoping that, you know, maybe a couple of people would see it and would like to be a part of the initiative. They're free to reach out to us, and, you know, let's get this moving in Belize, no?
You're always looking for sponsorship as well.
Of course.
Because a Mindstorm is an expensive piece of hardware.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Thank you both for your time and your exciting contact you've left us with. And of course, Kent and Ken, you guys are amazing. Thanks for the demonstration. Viewers, we're now going to go to another commercial break, but stay tuned because when we return, the new and exciting tech tips and tech news